All
Hey,
right. Today's call is the craft content machine. And for those who have purchased this as a standalone webinar, um, please do take as many notes as you possibly can. For those of you who are watching this on replay, having your craft avatar sheet ready, your offers, and your gold mine of language that you've extracted from your sales call is going to make this one call extremely valuable. Okay. And so we're in the age of attention. Okay. Social media is gobbling up basically all of the media space. My opinion, and this is I'm pretty bloody sure because I've owned gyms, I've been an online personal trainer, I've essentially done it all over the last 10 years, is that if we look at the stats purely from a stats perspective, there is more people spending money on health and fitness than ever. Like literally billions more than have ever been spent on health and fitness ever. And what has happened is there's been a shift from traditional gyms to online, to coaches, to specific outcomes and solutions. Okay. This is where, in my opinion, a lot of the gyms they're really struggling right now because their model just does not suit. Okay. It's a one size fits all. And what has happened is that online coaches are coming in with good content saying, I help one person, I solve one problem. Here's my one offer that's going to do it for you. Those people are making a lot of money. Okay. And the if you look at it just from someone here in Australia, evidence-based training is making roughly 10 to $12 million a year selling a transformation program. It works out roughly 1,000, 2,000 people per year he's helping. Those people used to go to a CrossFit gym, a functional fitness gym, all of that sort of stuff. All of those people are now going to an online coach. They're finding different solutions. And that is because everyone has switched from local based marketing, where it's like, hey, you watch the TV, your friends tell you what to do, blah, 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 to social media, just bombarding everyone with advertising messages every single day. Now, the secret to this is having a consistent brand, is having a consistent message, and is having a consistent person you speak to. That is why over the last 14 days with this craft business builder, we've gone so hard on laying those foundations, making them very, very, very clear. Cool. And so today is essentially the icing on the cake. This is how you can create your content to make sure it speaks to that person. Okay. And I've been sort of putting this into practice the last few days to really like just force myself to stick to my own plan. And this week alone, we've had 5 new people sign up. One is an all time world record holder, like literally one of the strongest people in the world. Another one's a pretty like cool MMA athlete, and then another 3 are coaches as well. So, and that was me just showing you what we're going to apply today into this system and just like going hard, making sure it still works. And I assure you, it still works. Okay. So, team, without further ado, I'm going to get into this. For those watching the replay, the documents, the worksheets for this, and the GPTs will be in the bottom of this call. Let's get into it. So, the this is the craft content machine, and let's go. So the craft content machine.
Dill, I can't hear you anymore. Can anyone else hear him?
Gift bag. Okay, and we'll talk about that more soon. A system for using your sales calls, your DMs as your hook fuel and your content, essentially your content fuel as well. A clear path from content to DMs to calls to clients. Okay, beautiful. This is not about being a content creator. This is about building a content machine that supports your coaching business in 90 minutes a week. What content's job actually is, and this might surprise some people. Okay, so every piece of content has 2 jobs: talk to the right person about the right problem and move them one step closer to working with you. It's not to impress the algorithm. Okay, is that very simple? Keith, I'm not too sure why you can't hear me, man. It might be on your end. Because Jesse, you can hear me?
No, originally you couldn't. You were out for
Jesse,
like
can
the
you hear me?
first three
Cool. All
sentences.
right. Oh, no. No one can hear me.
We missed like the first 3 sentences.
The microphone. You can't hear me at all?
Now you just came back on.
Oh, good times. All
Can you
right.
hear
So
us now?
beautiful. One of the best things about this year is like I want to get really, really good at running webinars. I was on a webinar yesterday about how to run really good webinars, and the first thing they said is to check the tech before you go live. And one of the best guys in Australia, and I just say this as a lesson to all of us, is like you're never going to get it right. I thought I had the best microphone set up, blah blah blah. Guy named Taki Moore, he's probably the top coach in Australia, business coach anyway. He was recording out of a castle in somewhere in Europe, and the internet just didn't work, and he had like 500 on a call, and the internet just went down, and he couldn't stream his live call from this castle. Anyway, he just rolled with it, and he keep rolling, so it's really cool. Let's go get it. All right, so back into the call. Sorry about that for the little tangent here. So every piece of content has 2 jobs. Talk to the right person about the right problem. Okay, move them one step closer to working with you. It's not to impress the algorithm. Cool. Do you think you're doing those 2 jobs with your content right now? Cool. How we do that is we do these 3 things. We have 3 types of content: reach, teach, and trust. Okay. Reach gets you seen by your avatar. Okay. And this is where anybody who says going viral is not important doesn't know what they're talking about in terms of social media landscape right now. Okay. Going viral is not important if it's not to the right person. Okay. I've got a couple of videos at the moment that got 2 or 3 million views or whatever. One's, I think they're actually closer to 5 million. Cool. They have nothing to do with my avatar. Cool. So those posts do not matter to me whatsoever. But what it did do is every single post around that got a huge boost and by about 10 to 20, 30,000 views. Okay. All of my social proof posts, all of my content that was around those posts actually got a massive boost and were being seen by people I wanted it to be seen by. So going viral or getting reach is extremely important. I'd like to shout out today to Lee, who's actually nailed this for the first time today, and he had about 22,000 views on a video that hit his exact avatar. The next one is teach. Okay, this makes people think differently or see a problem clearer. If I'm thinking about Jesse's content right now, I think he does this very, very well. I think he's teaching his clients, he's showing his avatar, he's showing how he coaches people really, really well. He's probably just missing the first one, which is the reach, those breakout pieces of content, those viral pieces of content. Then we've got trust. Okay. This is proof and story, and that makes people feel safe to reach out. This is what I believe my superpower is. Okay. Proof and story. Okay. That's probably the piece that, even if you just nail that one piece, you'll probably do very, very well. Okay. Because I think it's every time I think of a client who's reached out or wanted to work with me, it's because of one of those posts. Okay. It's because of that. So reach, teach, and trust are the 3 pieces of content you need. If someone tells you that you don't need to go viral, cool, they may be right. But also, the people who are going viral own a shit ton of real estate and they are seeing a lot of people. Okay, so with this, reach might mean you just need to be seen in your local neighborhood. Okay, by the 100,000 people who are in your local neighborhood. Not the 1,000 views, but the 100,000 people in your local neighborhood. That's reach. Okay, you can do this through content or ads. All right, so let's carry on. So, team in the chat, you've just got some documents here. Beautiful. All right, so let's have a look at it. Every single post needs to end with a default CTA that points to one offer. Okay, DM me X or apply to book a call here. Now, I actually disagree with that. okay, for the reason, and I'm going to just mute. Okay, cool. I actually disagree with my own rule there. I don't believe every post needs the same call to action. But when you look at what gets engagement and what gets more views, more reach, more people being closer to your buying your program, is having a CTA for sure. Okay. So probably about once a week, you want to have apply to book a call, join my 16-week game plan, get my 7-day or book in for a one-to-one consultation, whatever it is. DM me X and I'll send you X. Okay. You should have something that is part of that every single week or every single piece of content, because it is going to boost and bump your algorithm. Okay. All right. So this is what we need everything to point towards. Okay. Your main offer that the content supports. Okay. If your content is not speaking to your main offer, your content is a waste of time. If your content's not speaking to your main offer, it's a waste of time. Okay. And just to raise our hands, guys, if you didn't have to do social media, would you do social media? Lee's hand just went through the roof. Cool. So why are we doing anything else that doesn't drive towards our business? Every piece of content needs to drive towards that offer, okay, in some way. And so even when you post a personal story, it could be like you're posting. So say, for example, today I was going to post about a story, or I am going to post a story about how I gave up on becoming a rapper. Cool. The reason I gave up on becoming a gangster rapper is because someone stole my laptop, which had all my raps on it. Cool. What that lesson taught me long term down the track was that it did not matter that someone stole my raps. If I wanted to be a rapper, I should have just kept going. Cool. What happens with coaches, business, people who are on a journey, their fat loss, whatever? Okay, they give up they give up at the first hurdle. They find something to stop. That directs to my coaching business. Okay, that story about me being giving up on being a rapper is the reason why I am the coach I am today. Okay, and so that story might seem like it has absolutely nothing, but who's it going to speak to? It's going to speak to athletes that want to be stronger. It's going to speak to strength people who know that you don't give up. And it's also going to speak to coaches going through a tough time, wondering if they can carry on. And so every single piece of content you do should be heading towards that one offer, and it should be speaking to one of your avatars. Okay. If it's not, your content's not doing its job, and that's why you're not getting paid from your content. Okay. I would not say anything out of that. And so what that actually looks like is a 3-part content checklist. Okay. So part number 1 is the person. If your post is for everyone who wants to get fit, it's for no one. Okay. If your post is for everyone, it's like, hey, we just help you get fit, enjoy your fitness, blah, 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 blah. It's for absolutely no one. Okay. We help busy local professionals drop 5 to 10 kilos. Cool. It's a little bit better, but it's still for no one. It's still the same as what everyone else is saying. If you can make that even more narrow to that one person, and what this looks like right now, guys, is one avatar, okay? One main problem, one main goal, and what are they thinking right now? One avatar, one main problem, and one main goal, and what are they thinking right now? Okay? It's a Friday afternoon. What's your avatar thinking of doing this afternoon? Are they thinking of finishing their last workout for the week so they can fucking know they've smashed a good workout? Cool. Are they thinking about their bike ride tomorrow morning on Saturday so they need to pre-fuel tonight? Cool. Are they thinking, fuck, I probably shouldn't go to the pub tonight. I probably should go to the gym. What are they thinking right now today? Okay, that makes it relevant. That makes it speaking to someone in this moment. Okay, and that's why it's really, really important. It's also too, if you look at Gary Vee talks about this a lot, is what is recent and relevant right now. Okay, in Australia, we have a public holiday coming up. From what I've seen for the last 8 years when I own gyms, is our January was generally the quietest month. After January, after the Australia Day and all of that, the gym started to pick up again. People got back to work. They came back. Kids were back at school. They found a routine and a rhythm. Cool. The people that, were hanging on by an edge, they probably don't come back either. So this junction, this point right now, is about speaking to that person what they're going through right now. Okay. So, hey, next week, kids are back at school. Looking forward to getting back into my rhythms and routines. It's been chaos, but fuck, I'm looking forward to it. Okay. Who does that speak to? A parent. Yep. Someone who wants to be fit, strong, blah, 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 blah. Cool. It could be, let's say you're coaching athletes. Hey, winter season, we're in the middle of the winter season now. A lot of people are starting to think about their spring training programs. So you start speaking to that, but you've just got to have one avatar, one main problem, one goal. Okay. The more you speak to it, the more you'll be able to solve it. And the more, we talked about it a few weeks ago, is you'll be able to create a promise that will build undeniable proof. Okay. If you're constantly saying, I help women get from 0 banded pull-ups to, weighted pull-ups in 12 weeks, and then all you're posting is women getting pull-ups in 12 weeks, people start to realize, fuck, this guy's good at that. Okay. It's undeniable that I'm going to get that result. Okay. And this doesn't need to be wild, crazy transformations. If that's what you want to do it. But just make sure that you're solving one problem. Okay. For your attraction offers, stuff like that, you're solving the first problem or the next problem. Okay. Cool. Sweet. So that's pretty straightforward. One person, a story. Okay. The story of how your client went from A to B. And this is a simple framework. Okay. I used to, then I realized, now I. Simple framework. I used to, she used to, he used to, then he realized, now he. Okay. He used to slam himself 6 days a week doing HIIT training. Then he realized, hey, there was actually a little bit more to it than that. Now he's the leanest, strongest he's ever been. Okay. By doing it easier. Simple like that. Stories connect to people. Okay. And so there's a really good a really good way of looking at this is when you look at charities. Okay. So a charity like Save the Children, they figured out a long time ago that you're more likely to donate if you connect with one child rather than the millions of children that are dying every year of this stuff. Okay. So when you guys, I just want you guys to picture this right now. Okay. There's 1 million kids a week dying of diarrhea. Okay. Is that sort of hard to fathom? Yeah. Cool. But then you think about, little Jenny whose mum had to walk 10 kilometers to get water every single day. The problem with that water is quite often there's a lot of bacteria in it. Little Jenny got really, really sick, but because of the donations from Rusty, she was able to survive not dying of diarrhea. Cool. Now we have a story that connects to one person, and this is where the story really, really matters. For years, everyone's trying to be doing value posts and stuff like that. No one cares about value if there's no story attached to it. Okay. People buy an emotion, not logic. People buy an emotion, not logic. If they can see themselves in the value by seeing themselves in the story, all of a sudden that value becomes valuable to them. Okay. That's the most important thing. Okay. Then the part that really makes your content valuable is this. A gift bag. Okay, what is the takeaway? Every post should answer, what can they do, see differently right now? Okay, that can be one question, one habit, one mistake to avoid, one simple reframe. If you guys are watching Sam Godot, Dan Martell, all of these guys, they do this better than anyone. Their frameworks that they give away in their content is absolutely phenomenal. Okay. And if you look at my content, that's what I ask every single piece of content. I'm like, what is the takeaway someone could pick up and walk away as a little gift bag? Now, question to this is have you ever got a gift bag from a show or something like that? What are they mostly full of? Advertising, junk. Yeah, it's a waste of time, eh? So if you actually make it so that it's something fucking awesome, people are going to like it even more. It's going to stand out. What you want to do is give away everything. Okay. give them literally the framework. Like, give them something that they can go and start with. They should be able to get as good a results. The only thing they're missing, say you're an in-person coach or gym, the only thing they're missing is you, okay, to go and execute it. And that's why, like, giving them something that is clear, actionable, and takeaway makes an absolutely huge difference, okay? And then when we look at this, okay, as we go back to this, is one person, cool, who is that person you're speaking to? All you have to ask is, like, what would make this person's life easier today? You know, it's Friday afternoon. Cool. They're about to sit down on the couch. They've just had a long day at work. Maybe you want one of your frameworks is don't sit on the couch. That thought is like, lead could be like, it's Friday afternoon. I know if I sit on that couch, I'm not getting back up. So I make sure I pack my shoes at the front door for the gym and I walk my ass straight to the gym. Something as simple as that, where it's like, you guys have been, you know, consistent with your fitness forever. You've been doing one thing. All you got to think of, like, what's stopping this person right now? Okay, what are they doing? What are they working on? And if you can think of that, that allows you then to put yourself in their shoes, give them the takeaway that makes their life better. Then all you need to do is connect the story to someone who's already done it inside of your program. Often this should be a client or yourself. Okay. I'm sort of at the point now where, like, all of my clients are just far stronger, far more whatever than I am, because I haven't really pushed everything for a long period of time. So I always speak from my clients. Also, 90% of my clients are female. So I don't necessarily relate that well to females, you know? So I tell a lot of my value, a lot of my takeaways, and I think of that one person through one of my clients. Who is this client going to connect with today? Okay. Quite often, I'll look at my Instagram stories or someone I'm having a chat with, someone that's in my DMs, and they'll be talking about, let's say it's just a footy player, you know, and they want to get fit for the off season. It's like, you know, I'll just think of some of my footy players I trained, and then I'll just tell stories about that. Okay. It's as simple as that. And so when you think about this, guys, when we talk about the one person, you're just thinking of the one avatar you're speaking to. You want to speak it through the story of one of your clients or yourself. And then you just want to give them little takeaways, allows them to be one step closer to joining your program. Okay. To joining your program. Okay. And that's essentially the 3 steps, the 3 things. If you look at all of your content that's done well, and if I was to look at Lee's content today, I would say that he's hit all of them. Okay, he's got the one person, the person over 40, telling the story through his own story, and then what are the takeaways? He's got a caption full of gold. Okay, he's nailed all 3 of those parts. All you have to do is follow that simple formula and ask yourself, what is this? Is it connecting to my one person? Is it directing to my main offer? Okay, cool. So let's have a look at this now, guys. I want you guys just to quickly pick one avatar, one recent client story, one takeaway, and I want you to write a caption story just a little bit here. Okay, cool. Let's work on this. Pick one avatar. Who's your avatar on your avatar sheet? One client story that relates to it. And what's one little gift bag or what's one little value piece that they've had? Okay. 3 minutes just to write in the chat. For anyone who wants to know how I did my background, I asked ChatGPT and my brain codex to make me a thumbnail for my Zoom. Yeah. $60,000 later, I finally got my logo on a fucking Zoom. Yeah, easy. Is this making sense so far, guys? And when you think about your content, are you hitting those 3 things every single post? Yep. Yep, off the top of your head, Jesse, rattle us off a post.
Sherry had not seen glute growth for the last couple of years, and then we made back squats one of her main focuses, so she compete in this street lifting competition. For her to do this, we worked on her technique first, just to get her comfortable underneath the bar again. And these are the three main cues that we've been working on.
Yeah, perfect. When you said technique, cool, what does that mean?
Education.
It could mean anything. So when you said, here's the three cues that we worked on, all of a sudden you've got something you can pick up and take away, okay? What you can do is also create it like in a unique mechanism. What was it about those three cues that you use? So say, for example, in most of my coaching, I don't necessarily use cues, I use movements, because, you know, what I can say to you is probably going to say something completely different to Rusty. So, but a hang clean is still a hang clean. You know what I mean? A slow eccentric hang clean is still the same as a slow eccentric hang clean, especially when it's done well. And what that's going to do is going to fix you staying over the bar, get a better bar path, more acceleration through the middle, blah, 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 blah. Cool. So when you have that, it's like never ever say, hey, we worked on her technique, because every coach in the world works on their technique. Okay. What it could have been is like, I forgot her name. Anyway, Ida's mum. Ida's mum, you know, really, really struggled with three things in her technique. One was getting depth in her squats, two was bracing at the bottom, and three was feeling her glutes. What we changed was we worked on, first of all, making sure that her posture, or like her positions, were exactly right for her body. Then we also worked on giving her cues so that she could make sure she felt safe in the bottom of her squat. What that did was allow her to get deeper squats, which got more stretch on her glutes, which grew her glutes long term. Cool.
Unreal, bro.
Yeah. All I did there was talk about what I would do in a one-to-one coaching session.
Yeah.
Cool. And so what we're doing is unpacking our expertise. Okay. We see it through someone's eyes. Would 90% of gym, if you went to a commercial gym today, would you see someone that's struggling with that? Yes.
Yeah.
100%. Yeah. There's always going to be someone with a shit squat. Okay. So you've just got to think of it through their eyes. What can they pick up and take away? And you could even go like, here's the one bracing drill that gave her confidence under the bar, you know, and then give her that one little thing she can take away. But because now you've gone from, hey, we just worked on her technique, it's like, unless you're a coach, you don't know technique. So you've really got to break it down into like, what would they want to hear in their thing? Okay. Yep. Something I've found quite useful for that recently, guys, is just sharing videos. No context, no nothing. You know, it's just, here's the video of an exercise. You know, then in the caption, give a bit of context, stuff like that. Okay. Yep. Dave, busy ex-rugby player, lost 10 kilos in 10 and 12 weeks. He didn't just smash himself with cardio, but instead he did this. He had his strength training. So that little bit there, he didn't just smash himself. Cool. For the last 15 years, he smashed himself with more cardio. Cool. So it's like sort of give it the timeline, the story. Okay. Because every coach in the world is like, don't do cardio. And it's like, well, you know, Dave, for 20 years, he had a plateau of like trying to lose this last 10 kilos. What he was doing was smashing himself with cardio every day. We actually flipped that on his head, blah, 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 blah. Just so it like flips the story and buys them into it a little bit more. And so that's what you really got to think of. Like if you're to close your eyes and think about Dave in your head and almost like a little miniature movie of like his journey and his story, that's what really, really hits. But cool. No, very good. Okay, 45-year-old dad was only eating 2 eggs for breakfast, couldn't lose body fat and sweet cravings mid-morning, couldn't focus at work. Yeah, solution. Give 3 times 40 to 50 gram protein breakfast recipes. Cool. Not too bad. Can you give the recipes in the actual content? Yep. comment down below, or like check the caption and I'll put the recipes in there. Yep. And you could also add layers to that. Is like we gave him three high protein recipes that he could do within 5 minutes. Something like that. Cool. Awesome. So team, that is one of the most fundamental things is every single post you do is ask, am I speaking to my avatar and my offer? Cool. Is this got a story? Is there some sort of story connected to it? Okay. Then what's the takeaway that someone can walk away with this right now and use? Okay. Extremely important. Now, the cool thing about this, if you want to create more reach posts, okay, I'll use myself. Okay, so what did I do? I was like, who am I speaking to? People who want to get strong. They love strength training. They're sick of all the new fluff, blah, blah, blah. The story was back in the 1960s, this guy did XYZ. Okay. The story wasn't even about me. I just connected it to Russians who were most likely using drugs back in the 1960s. Cool. All of a sudden, though, that story connects to 1 million people. Okay. Then I give my format, my framework, my takeaway, which I've been trying to talk about for 5 years. I've been trying to talk about that shit for 5 years. Now it has a story that relates to people. It goes massively viral. Okay. It gets a lot of reach. And so that was the difference between me talking about isometrics, neurotyping, blah, 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 whatever you want, any of those things. As soon as I attached a story to it of this old school method, that sort of thing, all of a sudden people are like, this is fucking cool. I want to watch this and listen to it. And all of a sudden I'm getting massive amounts of reach. Now, I can trim that down and turn it into a teach post and just go over the science a little bit deeper, or like go over the mechanisms a little bit more. Here's 3 ways you can use isometrics, if you've got XYZ. Okay. Proof post, I could show myself, my client, or, someone getting the result using those methods. Okay. So it all comes back to that, is we have reach, teach, and trust post, but you have those 3 elements and you can just wrap it up any way you like. Okay. Is that making sense so far, guys? Yeah, like literally I'm not doing anything different across anything. It's just wrapped up in slightly different ways, okay? And that's all I want to say is because like ultimately, and I think you guys have been around a long time, you've heard me say the same things. Do people like me do things like this? It's like, what's the takeaway? Rusty's probably seen me do a 2-step for 5 years. All I'm doing is a 2-step, the exact same thing I've done for 5 years. It comes with a Russian training method. But there's no difference, and the thing that connects it to it, I think I was very, very lucky. I stumbled on this without knowing. Is when I first launched Share Fitness, I knew exactly who I was speaking to because I was that person. I could tell stories because I'd lived and breathed that every single time. I knew what it felt to have a fucking blown wrist, to be really depressed. What it's like to have a bad back. Then I also had the takeaways that they could go and take. And that. Comment down below and I'll send it over to you. Okay, so that's all I've done. And literally I've just changed that and adjusted that to whoever I'm speaking to at the time. Those 3 elements, who are you speaking to? And does it point towards my main offer that I'm promoting right now? And if you look at it right now, and I know you guys watch a lot of Taki in there, he's like, for 5 days a month, he'll promote his one thing. What's he doing for the other 25 days? He's making content that speaks to one person that's already planting seeds for his offer. Okay, when they talk about planting seeds, this is what they talk about. Cool, awesome. All right, so let's keep rolling. Beautiful. All right, so this section here, and this is essentially a second part of what we went over on Wednesday's call, and this, in my opinion, is probably worth about $59,000 of what I paid Dane Walker. Okay, this here is I'm never going to let that go, am I? I'm never going to let that go that I paid that guy $60,000. But anyway, it doesn't matter. This one thing though, and like even what I just said about the takeaways, I learned that from Dane as well. So it is all very, very good. This here, guys, is your current clients are your next best client. Okay, that's a framework, that's an analogy I've already talked about forever. Your current clients are your next best clients. They tell you everything you need to know about what content you should be making. and how you can speak to your next best client. If you just think about the conversations you've had with your best clients, cool. Would you rather just have all of your best clients? Yep. Do you get sick of the people that just piss around and do nothing? Yeah, cool. Those conversations you have with them, are you going to repeat them in your content? Nah, just repeat it with the ones you really, really want to coach. And so this here, guys, is a really powerful thing. As you're going through the worksheet, this is something I want you to work on. Every sales call is market research you get paid to do, okay? Every sales call you do is market research you get paid to do. A good sales conversation is you asking questions to see if what you do can provide a solution for someone who's stuck. Okay, in that, they're going to tell you why they're stuck, how they're stuck, in their language and their words, so that you can get an understanding of their psychology, what sort of language they use, and how they would like their problem to be solved. Okay, this is why, in my opinion, sales scripts and stuff like that are amazing. But if you're just able to have a conversation within a framework, you're always going to have a better opportunity to make someone join your program. Okay, so just remember that, guys. Every sales call is a market research you get paid to do. Okay, so how we do this is we have 5 buckets to pull from calls: pains, desires, identity, values, objections, and surprise wins. Everyone has been through the avatar worksheet. What did we have in that avatar worksheet? Pains, desires, identities, values, objections, and surprise wins. Cool. The same frameworks, the same stuff. It all just connects to one thing. And so when we're on the sales call, and it's like someone says something a little bit interesting. Talking to a lady today, she's like, I just feel invisible. Okay. And I was like, I never really thought about that. I was like, okay, cool. That's a word that I can put into my sales copy. It's like, if you're feeling invisible, you're a fucking good coach, but you feel invisible, this is for you. Cool. If you're someone who's been doing all the right things and you just feel like every single time you get, a bit of momentum, something comes up with the kids. They get sick, this, that, and the other. Okay, this is for you. That's what we're looking at. Pains. It's like, hey, I fucking really want to get back to footy, but, every time I played in the grand final, I seem to get a really weird injury and I've never been able to walk off the field. Cool. You just think of those people. Okay, what are their desires? Yeah, exactly. And now he's got his medal. One more game. Desires. Okay, some people are pain-driven. Some people are desire-driven. Quite often, our best clients are desire-driven. The people who want to get really, really strong. The people who want to go to that next level and get a next level result. The young kids who want to be a great athlete. They're not always driven by pain. Sometimes they actually want to see the opposite. And that's where sometimes you just see pain point marketing and you're just like, man, that's never going to hit anyway. Or it will, but it's going to hit victims. Okay? But pain is always going to be more motivating than pleasure. So pain points, you just have to understand them, that are different for a beginner than they are for someone who potentially can value from a high level coach. Okay, the pains of someone who can value from a high level coach. Okay, maybe someone take me for example. Okay, and so I've never been below 10% from what I know. Okay, I've found between once I got to where I am now to the next part, it takes a different approach because I'm fucking hungry all the time. I'm pretty useless. I just want to eat chocolate and all of that. But it's taking a different approach from me going from say 15% to 9%. Okay. That's different from someone being 30% wanting to get to 15%. Okay. What's the difference? When you're 30% and you're wanting to get to 15%, you just need to stop being a fat cunt and do some exercise. Okay. And sorry, Keith, I know our language down here is bloody terrible, but the difference between that, if you start talking to that, but really you your audience, your clients who you want to speak to are people who want a great result, you're speaking to the wrong person. Okay, you got to really think that. Okay, so when you are talking to someone and they jump on, it's like, man, I want to do a photo shoot. Their pains, desires, identity, values, objections, surprise wins are much different than someone who just wants to drop 10 kilos and be a little bit healthier. Okay, that's why when we look at branding, when we look at marketing, if you want to be in the Shark Tank and just speak like everyone else is speaking, you just say the same stuff. But if you want to zag when everyone's zigging, you speak to this stuff here that you're talking to your current clients about, and you just go deep on like how you can actually help people and give them an edge. Okay. Something I started repeating for my athlete clients is like getting an edge. They don't want to be fitter and stronger. They want the edge. They want the 1% that's going to make them undeniably good. Okay. There's a difference in that rather than, hey, I'll just help you get more athletic. Okay. Anyone can do that, but not many can give you the edge. Okay. So this is the sort of stuff that when you're on these calls, every time, and pretty much the best way to do this is use something like Otter AI to transcribe all your calls so you don't have to think about it. Okay. Good thing about Otter or AI transcriber is you can take that entire call, plug it into ChatGPT and say, unpack it for me. Okay. Which is absolutely brilliant. So what we need to do is create a simple language bank document. Record and transcribe all sales calls, all one-to-one coaching calls. I wish I'd recorded more of my one-to-one coaching calls. There's been some amazing calls. Each week, take all of those transcripts, download them into your brand codex or your chat GPT, and ask it to extract the main themes, desires, pain points, all of those things, and come back with a language bank for you so that you can turn into content, sales copy, and all of that. Okay. Absolute gold mine, because you're going to speak the exact language of the people that want to work with you. Okay. Quite often we're not even close. Okay. Quite often we're not even close. And this is why when you look at why influencers do well is because they don't know any better. They're just doing their thing. And a lot of people want to be like them. So they just talk. Okay. And that's generally why influencers do really, really well outside of coaches. Okay. Because coaches find it hard to get into the mind of who they're speaking to. But that one thing there is exactly how you do it. Okay. Beautiful. All right. So now what we want to do, guys, is this is what it actually looks like in regards to how we actually build our content system. Okay. And so, in my opinion, or not in my opinion, I sort of did my own testing on this. It's like, how long does it take me to create what I believe is quite a good reel? Okay. And what it took, it took me about 50 to 65 minutes, roughly. So about 3 Pomodoro blocks. Sometimes it took me 12 minutes. Okay. If I had all of this stuff lined up. The longest it would take me is about 75 minutes. That was, and I'll show you what that looks like in a minute. The shortest was like 10, 15 minutes. Okay. Like it was pretty quick when you really can put stuff together. But the way that I've found that you can create something that's pretty good, that's going to speak to people and actually convert to clients is this. First thing you need to do is you need to set a Pomodoro timer. And that is this, guys. I will just show you those who don't know. You go to pomofocus.io. Okay, so pomofocus.io. I use this as 25 minutes of uninterrupted. I'm doing one task in that. Okay, so pomofocus.io. You hit start, you'll work for 25 minutes, then you get a 5-minute break. Okay, if you can confidently say you didn't look at your phone, you didn't do something else, you didn't change, for that 25, find that your entire content is done in that time. Okay, or at least you got a research done for 4 or 5 pieces, which is very, very cool. So the next part is we want to use our research account and outliers. Okay, so what this looks like, guys, is you want to create a separate research Instagram account. Okay, on there you're going to follow the 5 top people, or basically you can search a topic for your whatever you are wanting to be known for. Okay, that could be strength coaching, fat loss, performance, Russian training methods, Adelaide fitness coaching, whatever it is. Okay, you create a dummy Instagram account and you call this your research account. Okay, Jesse's got it set up probably the best, where he's got an account that literally has all of his results on it. He just posts his results there, but that account's his research account. Okay, why this works so well is that when you set up this research account, what Instagram is going to feed you is outlier content that has massive amounts of reach, because Instagram will basically only show you good content because it wants you to stay on there. So when you search these accounts, you're only going to see content that is outlier content. It's going to show you the hooks, the way they've created their content, what they talk about, current trending themes, current trending topics, and stuff that people in your chosen niche are actually interested in. Okay, it's going to show you all of that. It's a complete shortcut. What you're going to do, guys, is you're going to look for outlier post, okay? And this is way above their average reach and engagement. And I'll just show you guys an example of this, okay? So I know you guys have been on, the guys that have been here a while, you probably have seen this a million times, but it's something people still don't make the most of, okay? So if I go, let me go garage strength. Internet's being a bit slow, but we'll get there. Cool. All right, cool. So this guy here is someone I really like. He's got some great content, 138K followers. Now, because he's got so many followers, his average views are going to be quite high. We're not looking at his average views. We're looking for outliers. Okay, so this is a guy I follow. When we look for outliers, guys, we hit this little button here, this little tab button, okay, or this little reel button here. Okay. Now, what I'm going to show you is it's going to show all of this for his, okay. Average is about 8K, 40K, 30, 40K is his average. So I'd say his average is somewhere between 10 and 40K. This one here, 180K. That's an outlier video. Okay, that's something that's different to what's normally going on. 230K. Okay, that's another one. 5 times more than his normal post. 119K. Cool. So these are his outliers. So when you create your dummy account, what will happen is when you watch these videos, the next time you scroll up or swipe across, it's going to show you another video that's an outlier in that niche. It's going to continue to show you outliers in that niche. Okay? What that means is your feed after is only going to be full of content that is performing extremely well in your niche. Okay? And that's what that dummy account is for you to take care of all of that research. Okay? So when we're doing our research, guys, we can do that. That's the fast. That's the shortcut. The other way I do this is I will go to one of the books that's sitting on my desk. I'll open a page. I'll read some fucking pages. And then I'll turn that into content. And I say that like being funny, but it's like literally if you just read books and like share the information in the books, it works really well. And sometimes I'll go back to my courses, stuff like that. Because if you think about the courses that we've bought them because it's a coach we trust. They've got proven results. Cool. And they've got lots of reach. So the content in those courses is extremely valuable. We just need to package it up through the lens, the story of our clients. Okay? That's how. Yeah, sorry, go.
Sorry.
No, cool. But does that make sense, guys? Where you can research topics. Okay? And that's how you can get extremely valuable, extremely good content just by spending that first 25 minutes researching. Okay? And all you have to do is think about, like, if you were just to do it in this way, is like 25 minutes on a Friday. You go into that language bank. What have I spoken to about my clients for this week? All right, cool. Based on all of them, what research do I need to do the next 25 minutes? Research topics, content, X, Y, Z that would speak to exactly what those clients wanted. The next 25 minutes is you just make the content. Okay, you literally make the content next. So in my opinion, this research section is the most important part. Okay, like with all of my content that's done really, really well, it's because I've done that. It's the 10-80-10 rule. This 10%, the research part, in my opinion, is the most important part. Okay, cool. Pomodoro 1. Okay, 10-minute language bank, 15 minutes of research account, and then decide the person, the story, the gift bag, and then the hook line. That's what you do. Okay, 25 minutes, there's your content basically 90% done. Okay, 20 minutes as you're going to do your language bank. Go to see what your clients have talked to you about. 15 minutes, go and do your research, find the topics, whatever the angle you want to talk about. Then you've got to decide the person, the story, the gift bag, and the hook. That's it. Okay, that's your content research done. 25 minutes, and you've got the fucking makings of a banger piece of content. Does that make sense, guys? Yeah, cool. 25 minutes, and you've got the makings of a banger piece of content. Pomodoro time and 2 and 3. Okay, next one is you want to choose the container. Okay, this is going to be a talking head, a carousel, a reel. What's the format you're essentially going to run? Okay, are you just going to be talking outside? Are you going to do a B-roll? You're going to do text over the top? What is it? Just choose your container. 80% of the work's already been done. Then from there, you draft your headline and hook. You do your slide throw or skip or scripts that you're talking to, your on-screen text and your captions, and make sure each post passes the 3-point check. Okay, person, story, gift bag. That's all it is. All of that work before that, then all you have to do is choose the container. Is this a carousel, a reel, B-roll? What is it? Okay. From there, you draft it, and then you're going to do your headline and your hook, your scripts, your on-screen text, all of that sort of stuff. Beautiful thing is AI will do 90% of this. Okay, 90%, which is very, very good. All right, from there, part number 3, film, design, post. Okay. In 65 minutes, you should have a really, really good piece of content. If you're doing content like Lee's, where he's literally got one piece of B-roll text over the top, you could do 10 to 15 of these, okay? You just go through, like, what are my hooks, my avatars, that sort of stuff. Go over the top, okay? I keep trying talking heads. The best talking head variation that I've done is, like, the green screen, reacting to my own reels. The other talking heads, I'm terrible. I don't know. I must be boring as shit. But that's all you do from there is you know exactly what's worked and you repeat it. Okay, so now I just want you guys just to think about, okay? If you're to follow this content schedule, Monday you do all your research. Wednesday you construct it. Friday you set up and post all your content for next week. 25 minutes 3 times per week. You can research your content. You can construct it. Friday, you can post it for the next week. One day, and you can do this all in 2-3 hours on one day as well. Okay, but that's how 1 day per week becomes your media day. Okay, awesome. So once again, you guys have your own money work and stuff like that. That is just a structure and a repeatable system that you can plug in. Okay, cool. All right, proof content. This is where I believe everyone messes this up, okay? Show how you remove the obstacles. No one cares about the results. They don't. They don't care about the before and after. They don't care about how you did it. They care about how you can do it for them. That one reframe. They don't care about the results. They don't care how you did it. They care about how you can do it for them. Okay? That's where the story comes into this. How can you do it for them? Rusty's a dad, walks his son to school every day. After that, he runs home, because he knows that's the only 15 minutes a day he's going to get peace or whatever it is. You know what I mean? So it's like, how can it work for them? That's the most important point of this social proof. No one cares that you gave them your German body composition training. No one cares that, like, they do care. Don't get me wrong. It is important. They need to know the methods. But what they need to know is how you can remove the obstacles for them, okay? What this looks like is the result isn't the important part. The important part is, can someone watching this see what was in the way, and can they see how you helped it remove it in a way that feels possible? Most people just don't believe they can. Okay, it's too hard. This is why your offer should solve that first problem. Okay, and when you do your social proof, you share proof of you solving that first problem. Okay, would every dad in the world love to be lean, athletic, play with their kids, all of that sort of stuff? Cool. Yep. Can every single person on this call show someone exactly how to do that? Yep. What stops them from doing it? Could be 100 different things. Could be 100 different things. For that one dad that watches that one piece of content and he sees you solving that one problem for them straight away, they're like, holy shit, I'm going to either look at this closer or I'm going to reach out. Okay? I'm going to look at this closer or I'm going to reach out. And then they might be watching and then it's like, hey, all of a sudden you've got this intro offer that says, hey, we're going to make sure you never miss 2 in a row. This is how we're going to do it. Bang. Okay? All your proof has been pointing towards that one offer. Is this all starting to click, guys? Yeah, cool. Yeah, it's only taken me like 5 years to understand what I actually do. So this is cool. So awesome. Proof post structure. Okay, so this is pretty simple. And you guys might see this as BAB, you know, before, after, bridge. Doesn't really change. But before, what was their pain? Obstacle, what blocked them? Shift, what changed? After, result. Lesson, big gift bag takeaway. Okay? Before, where were they? You know, John was smashing, like John thought the way to lose weight was smashing himself 6 days a week with cardio. Obstacle. What stopped him from doing that? He couldn't go for a 90-minute bike ride every day because he had business meetings, he had kids, the kids got sick, blah, blah, blah. So he just got sick of it and would give up. You know, every couple of months he'd give up because it just got too hard. The shift, what changed? We found a structure that with even 2 to 3 days a week, he could make some massive progress because we gave him a simple plan where he could barbecue his meat, you know, twice a week. He could barbecue his vegetables and he could just take his meal prep to work, even on his busy trips away for work. Doing those 2 to 3 sessions a week and a simple to follow meal plan recipe, he was able to drop 10 kilos in 12 weeks and he's never felt better. You know, he's feeling better at 40 than he was at 20. Cool. Lesson, what's the big takeaway? If you want to do something like this, meal prep your barbecue, blah, 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 blah. Okay, cool. All of a sudden, that now connects to that one person. Okay, you can also tell that story in a million different ways, guys. Like I could tell your guys' stories from a million different angles, each and every single one of you know, and so you don't always have to hit it from the same story all the time, but you could slightly adjust it and show different angles. It could be the training that changed, the nutrition that changed. It could be his routines, the schedules. Maybe there was something you talked about in his mindset that changed. Okay? There's a million different angles, and that's why I believe the 5X social proof engine, which is this here, is extremely powerful, okay? And so this is why this engine will allow you to unpack all of your social proof from a million different angles, okay? So if I take something like this, social proof, and I just go, this is my client, Jess. She's a mum, business owner, wife, loves to lift, but lost her way. Give me 5 potential angles I could create the proof post. Cool. It knows nothing about Jess except for what I've just told her here in the photos. Okay, but I'm asking it for 5 potential different angles that we could hit. Found herself again angle. Okay, how many mums want to find themselves again after they've had kids? Pretty much all of them. Okay, cool. If we look at it from that angle, okay, so now, busy mum, real body comp. Okay, time poor proof angle. Okay, so this is a different angle. This is for someone who is probably pretty motivated, that wants a real body composition result. This is it here. From trying everything to following one plan. Okay, strong mum energy. You know, that's the role model angle. There's a million different things here that can make this happen. Okay, so we're just looking at it from different angles. Once again, it comes back to those same principles of one person. Cool. Yep, one story and then one takeaway, the gift bag. Okay, so that's how we're looking at it from there, guys. Okay, so essentially what you want to do is a weekly review and iterate. Every 7 days, look at the scoreboard. Get your top post by saves, shares, replies, and DMs. Any piece of content that makes someone reach out, double down on it. Double down on it. Okay, cool. Any post that like your clients talk about in person, double down on it. Okay, if people are talking about it and repeating back to you what you've been saying, you just need to keep repeating that over and over again. You'll get bored of your marketing before everyone else does. Okay. Beautiful thing about it, good marketing is actually boring as shit. And it makes it easy for us because we don't have to reinvent it every week. What you got to ask is who was the person? You know, when I post, is there a certain style of posting that makes a certain style of person reach out? A lot of the ladies that have been reaching out to me lately are like, I love that you had an all-female gym. I love that you've coached mostly women. I love that you share these stories, and I can tell you're a coach who actually cares. Okay, what was the story that stood out? What was the takeaways? What was the hook? A lot of my jiu-jitsu content that I've been posting in my stories, I'm just bloody speaking to the people that I roll with at jiu-jitsu. Cool. I know they're all watching it. Slowly but surely, I'm getting more and more of those jiu-jitsu guys. Okay. Find the outliers and repeat. Okay. All we have to do, guys, once you've found that outlier, adjust change the angle. Same person, same outcome, same result, adjust the angle. Okay, that's all it is. Ask ChatGPT to hit it from a different angle. That's how you repeat this stuff over and over. Okay, so commitments. What are you going to do in the next for the next 30 days? For the next 30 days, your job isn't to be a content creator. Your job is to run this operating system. Okay, who is the person? Who is the story? What is the gifts that you're going to give away? The sales call gold, extracting that as much as you can. 3 Pomodoros a week, okay? 75 minutes a week. It's 3 25-minute blocks. That's all it is. Have a default CTA, or make sure you have some CTA that's going to get people to engage. DMs and calls. Do the boring reps. The views, followers, and clients are the side effects, okay? So team, that there is basically breaking down my content formula. From you guys right now, what was something that stood out from that? Maybe Keith. Let's start with you, man. You're on mute. Sorry. You're on mute, Keith.
Sorry about that. I don't know. I feel for me, I understand conceptually what you're asking, but then when I try to go from the conceptual part to actually doing it,
Yep.
I feel like it confuses me more in a way, because I'm at a stage in my career where I don't, when I watch other people do things, thinking, for a guy who's 60 trying to do some of that stuff, I could have done that when I was 40, when I was 30.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm trying to figure out how at my stage, how I can apply this in a way that resonates both with me and with the people I'm doing it with.
Perfect. And that's exactly what we're looking for. And I could maybe I'll speak for Lee. It's taken him the good part of six or so months to find something that works for him. What I can see from what you can do really well are the photos, man. Just the photos, a couple dozen photos a month of the kids and stuff you're working on, and that'll just speak more volumes. Because the big thing for you is being such an authority, someone who's done it, been there, and all of that. That will speak more than anyone who is 20 just making content. You know what I mean? And so for you, it's something that you can repeat and make it easy over time. And if you just follow that framework, okay, cool. And this is the first way I started doing this is I put in my calendar. It was like, okay, cool. Capture expertise. Okay. Before I had my PT sessions with like our athletes and stuff, I just put a little thing on my calendar as a reminder, capture expertise. When I go into my PT session today, what am I going to capture? Say, for example, last year I had AFL girl was doing a heap of Nordics, to protect her knees or whatever it is, get strong hamstrings. And so I was like, okay, cool. I need to capture her doing a Nordic. Simple as that. And so then I just knew, okay, I now have her doing a Nordic. Now I can create a caption on the Nordic. But basically it was me just saying, reminding myself, because I find this difficult as well, is just capture expertise. And it's like that could be a photo, a video. You could say on Friday, hey, I've got a lacrosse player coming in. I'm going to make sure I get a video of me taking him through a drill that's specific to lacrosse. You know what I mean? So there might be something unique about the session that you're going into. And if you just capture bits and pieces over time, you'll have so much that'll be just, you won't even have to think about it.
So essentially, with every client I have in, especially if they're doing something that's, even if it's a squat where you might be doing a pause, you might be doing uh, something that's a little bit different from the average squat, then
Yep.
you should record that. Or like I have kids who could do 1 1/4 Nordic. That would obviously be something that would be a little nuts.
100%, man. Like that there, because if you look at, and I'm sure you've seen them all, is like all the ATG coaches where like, knees over toes guy, the Nordics and stuff, that all blew up. If you're, I guarantee if they seen your clients doing like a 1.5, they'd be all following you within 2 months. You know what I mean? Because they're like, holy shit, what's this guy doing? And so that stuff there, 100%, absolutely is stuff that you can capture. I just asked myself, and it's like, so say I realized this last year when I had a lot of AFL girls coming in, then I had quite a few rugby league girls coming in. But when I say a heap, there was like half a dozen. But I realized the difference between AFL and rugby is like I could get an AFL girl as strong as she needed to be within probably 3 to 6 months. Like removing, if she could squat and like all of that within 6 months, she's strong enough to play AFL because she probably only needs to squat 1.5 times body weight if she's lucky. But what she did need to be is extremely fast. They needed to be very fast and be able to repeat those sprint efforts. That was probably what they need. Whereas a rugby player is they are going into contact with girls who are up to 120 kilos. So to grow muscle in that level of strength is going to take 2 years, to add, whatever. It will take enough 2 off seasons, let's say. But in saying that, the difference between a rugby girl and an AFL girl, I just said to myself, how can I capture this in different ways? And so like for your different athletes, they're going to be playing different sports. They're at different phases. So it's like, hey, now if you think about the moment, it's like we're in the pointy end of the NBA, and I'm just sort of thinking there is like, hey, look, midpoint in the NBA is where a lot of the injuries start to creep in. This is what we do with our kids to make sure that, they don't break down mid-season, you know? So it's like you're just thinking it from that perspective. And when you say it as like you're already making all of the content you ever need to make, you just need to capture it in a way that feels good to you.
Thanks.
Cool. Is that helpful?
Yes, very much so.
Yeah. Like that's what we got to realize is we're already experts. Is like we just need to capture that expertise. And then do it in a way that's going to reach enough people. Rusty, questions, ideas, thoughts?
No, that was really awesome, and I think every time I get on here, I get a little bit closer. It was so this is slightly related, but it was so funny when you said, so bring up this thing from Pomodoro timer, and I just had a Pomodoro timer get delivered to my house from Amazon because I was like, I couldn't keep going to the tab; it kept fucking me off. Anyway, no, what I did was I took your framework there because that's why I bought this is because this has been really powerful for me in breaking it into time chunks.
Yep.
I think the hardest part, similar to what like with Keith there, was just like you said, like capturing your expertise. It was like where to start, like what piece of content do I make it today, and like looking forward and saying, hey, if you make all your content this week for next week, it's actually planning, okay, what does that actually look like? What do I actually need to post? So having the framework of the reach, teach, and trust, it means like I know at least if I make one of those, if I make those 3 pieces of content, if that's all I did and that's what I did every week, I've at least sort of hit those 3 things. So and now I have a system to actually do that. So yeah.
Here's the simple thing, guys. Is like if I was to think about capturing expertise, okay, I'm like, who do I want to speak to? Okay, cool. I'd like to speak to more NRL players, rugby league players. Who do I have coming in next week that's a rugby league player? What am I going to do in that session that would show a rugby league player that what we're doing is valuable? Cool. Little note in my diary. All right, Thursday morning, 7 a.m. when I coach Dakota, capture our session. Okay, and so it always starts with that one person. Who do I want to speak to? Cool. What can I tell? Like the story comes after, but what's the value that I can give away? It's like, okay, cool. Dakota's gained 10 kilos or nearly 10 kilos in the last 8 weeks. It's like, how did we do that? X, Y, Z. And this is some of the stuff that we're making sure. She went to her club the other day and they're like, holy fuck, like she's 5 seconds off her best Bronco test ever. And, She hasn't run since the NRL season 4 months ago, and she's also nearly 10 kilos heavier. Cool. What are we doing that's made her gain that much muscle, that much mass, and still basically she literally broke. She's the fittest girl in her team. So it's like, you know, we did that. So it's like, just think of like, who do I want to speak to next week? Is it, you know, the dad? Is it the mum? Is it the junior athlete? Cool. Who am I coaching next week? That is that person. What can I capture about that session, whatever, that I can just show on my social media? This is as simple as that. Yeah. Yeah. And then obviously you got off the background is like how you format it up and stuff like that. But if you just think about that, is what you're already doing is very, very valuable. Cool. Who do I want to speak to and attract to my content? All right. Who am I coaching next week? That is that. I'm going to capture that, and then that's going to become my content. It always starts with who you want to speak to, and then you're already coaching them. So why not just work through that? You know, cool. Is that like streamline it a little bit more, Keith? Yeah, awesome, awesome, cool, awesome, guys. I know it's I don't expect everyone to get that straight away, but that's like when you chunk it right down to that. That's all it simply is like, who am I speaking, or who do I want to speak to and attract? Who am I already coaching? That is that person. How can I show what I'm doing to help them in a way that will attract that next person? It's probably all it boils down to. Cool. All right, guys. Have a good day.